Good afternoon, everybody. There we go. Good afternoon, everybody, and happy Sunday. It is going to be a short stream tonight, only about an hour. But we're going to be doing a market to look ahead. A lot of interesting things going to be happening. This week, obviously, I think the most notable is on Thursday. We are going to get the CPI numbers, which should come in hot. Hopefully they don't, but I think inflation is going to persist. I think the consensus is for about a 7.9% reading on the CPI. So we'll have to see how that turns out, and we'll talk about a lot more things on the stream tonight. So we have Bianca M. What's up, Bianca? Dalton is here, says, yo, Tom. Community Canners, welcome to the stream. I see 007 says, happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Sunday to you. Sally is here, says, hey, Tom. Bianca says, Tom, how is your Sunday going? It's been going good. I got a lot of work done. I did take it easy, though, for the vast majority of the Sunday. Carlos says, hey, Tom, and good night. What's up, Carlos? Hope you're having a good one. Beautiful night in New York. It's about 66 degrees. Mike S., good to see you. Samantha R., Lori E., Jonathan Francis, Sandra Nunez, good to see you. What's up, Carlos? I see Dante Rose says, hey, Tom. Samantha R., welcome, welcome. RJ says, Olaf from Colorado. Welcome, RJ. And Sally is here. What's up, everybody? So it finally wasn't freezing for once. I think spring is finally among us. Well, hopefully. RJ says it's still snowing here, bro. Well, supposedly it's supposed to get back down in the 20s in New York later in the week. But today was really nice. I was actually sweating in my big winter jacket. It was almost, I think it got up to 66 degrees today. Very nice day. Hey, Lizzie Hatch says, hey, everybody, what is going on? What's going on with interest? What's going on with the interest want to refinance? Or what's going on with interest rates? Well, rates are expected to go up. Rates are expected to go up, and that probably will put a cap on people wanting to refinance their mortgages. But depending on when you bought your property, you probably should already have a pretty low rate, because rates are historically low as they are. But I'd be interested to see what your interest rate is right now. Vinny Castellano is here, says, good evening, Tom. What's up, Vinny? Vinny Castellano is joining us from Staten Island. Good to see you, Vinny. Lori E says, wintry mix here tonight after a day in the 60s. This is Lori E. Very cool. Lori, it's good to see you. Hope everybody enjoyed their weekend. It is back to the real world, back to reality tomorrow. Grant Link, what's up, Grant? Says no mods, time for chaos. Abdullah is here. Good to see you, Abdullah. Vinny Castellano, RJ, Roy S. Says hello, everybody. Tom and mods, wishing you well. Alan Wilson says good evening, Tom and everybody. What's up, Alan? Juan says hello, Tom. What do you believe the market will act this upcoming week? So before I started the stream, futures were down across the board. I also posted some of the links in the Discord chat. We have commodities really taking off. Crude oil futures, I think, traded as high as 130 tonight, but have since come down a little bit. I think if anybody is long energy, especially the oil and gas stocks, I think this week is going to be pretty good for you for profit taking. I think it's going to be a pretty good week. But busy week, but good to see everybody. Dalkey says hello from Nova Scotia. Very cool, good to see you. Lady O, our moderators are joining. Sunshine, New York. What's up, Sunshine? It's good to see you. Hope you're well. Jamie Price says happy Sunday evening, Tom. Hey, Jamie. Good to see you. Jonathan Francis is here. Lady O from New Jersey, welcome. So Lizzie says my interest rate is 3.33%. That's actually pretty good. So I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think anybody's getting a 3.33% on a 30-year fix right now. That's actually pretty good. That's a really good rate. Mike Bell says, evening, Tom. Futures are down 400 on the Dow. Yeah, I think they're down across the board. I was looking at the E-minis for the S&P 500 futures contract. That was down over 1%. Same with the NASDAQ 100, the NQs. But oil, crude oil is, I think, traded as high as 130. Since settled down a little bit. So who knows, maybe this energy trade is getting a little bit long in the tooth, as they say. But good to see you. Alan Wilson says Fox is now reporting oil is $120 a barrel. Yeah, Alan, if you want to check the futures, ticker symbol CL is the futures contract for crude. Sharon Lee is here. Says we need to stop buying oil from Russia and open our pipelines. To Sharon Lee. Agreed. Michelle McGraw is here. Good to see you, Michelle. Welcome. Lady O says, good evening, Tom and everybody. It's going to be a rainy week, so don't forget your umbrella. Yeah, I saw that. Very unfortunate. It is going to be a rainy week, but I guess that means spring is on the horizon. Mike 940 says, Tom, wheat futures are up 50% from last week. Yeah, isn't that crazy? So I think the vast majority of the wheat actually comes out of Russia. So we've been limit up on wheat almost every day, which is crazy. NG says, funny enough, my mom uses that phrase a lot, long in the tooth. Good to see you, NG. Lori E, welcome. Michelle McGraw, our moderator, how are you? Hope you had a good weekend. Soho Guy says, hey Tom, how's work? Work was pretty good. I tried to take a little bit of a break today. So I just spent pretty much the majority of my day reading, just hanging out. Community Canner says, I am getting 4.5%. However, very unstable paper. This is Community Canners. I think mine was right about 3%. But then again, that was 4 months ago. You know, I bought my place 4 months ago. But look, I mean, if we think about historical trends, 4.5% is actually still pretty low. I mean, 4% is really, really low, especially if inflation is, you know, printing at almost 8%. Essentially, it's like free money, right? Community Counter says, Tom, we need to stop importing oil. I agree. So to touch on, so I think everybody in the chat's making a really good point. A lot of people are commenting that we should probably stop buying oil from Russia, which I agree. So there was an interesting tweet from Elon Musk over the weekend. And obviously Elon Musk, I think, has probably done more for the environment than anybody on this planet. But he even said himself, he's like, look, you know, this is a time of crisis, so we need to start pumping oil as fast as possible in the United States, which we can. This way we don't have to buy from Russia, which I think is a good idea. I think it's a good idea. I think he tweeted that on Friday night. I think we were talking about that. Did anybody else see that tweet from Elon Musk? Hey, San Miguel, good evening. How are you? It's a windy night tonight, everybody. So I apologize for the wind noise in advance. We haven't had the mic here in a while. Extreme wind. Soho guys, says Tom, did you hear that Joe Biden is quietly asking for U.S. oil producers for more production? I did hear that, and I think that's the right call. It's not going to be a popular call, but I think that's actually the right thing to do. So I agree with him on that. Eric 20 says, Tom, they are asking Iran and Venezuela for help as well. Once they are back in the fold, it will only drive down domestic companies in a year or two. This is Eric 20. Thank you for that, Eric 20. Good to see you, my friend. Lori E says, Tom, I just had my hubby check the paperwork to be sure. We refinanced last summer at 3%. That's fantastic. 3% is really good. I think mine is right about 3% because I had to pay some points, I think, up front. But look, I think if we look at the historical perspective, that's really cheap money. Like really, really cheap. Soho guys says Biden is a weak leader, Tom. Mike Bell says, I remember 11% 30-year way back. Yeah. Well, I wasn't old enough to remember it, but definitely you're right. So, I mean, I think people that are locking in low interest rates now, I think it's a pretty good deal, especially with the inflation prints we're seeing. So speaking of the CPI, we are going to be getting the new CPI number on Thursday. Many analysts on the street are calling for about 7.9% in the CPI. Carter says, happy Sunday, Tom. Love to see you out. Hey, Carter. Good to see you. It's actually pretty warm. Windy, but warm. It was 66 degrees today. It was crazy. It felt like I was back in Miami. Hey, 3030 Tom is here. Says hello. What's up? Good to see you. Lori E, Roy S, San Miguel. How are you? Carter, Sunshine, New York.
Let's get this straight, right?
Lady O, good to see you. San Miguel says, Tom, we're about to see a raise in emerging markets since they have energy resources. Yeah, San Miguel, so there was a really interesting article we were talking about in Barron's the other day about emerging markets and why they tend to underperform the US markets. But as of right now, to your point, a lot of emerging markets are trading at steep discounts. I think that guy's playing a, what is that called? I don't know what the instrument's called, but I like it. Big fan of that. San Miguel says, Tom, we are watching right now unexpected earnings in state oil companies in the third world. So San Miguel. Christina says, Tom, have you heard of Black Monday in the 1987 stock market crash? Yes. So an interesting, there's a great documentary on YouTube about the stock market crash in 1987. And Paul Tudor Jones, I believe, was one of the only traders on the street at the time to predict that crash. So if you go on YouTube and you type in Black Monday or the stock market crash of 1987, Paul Tudor Jones, it will pull up the Paul Tudor Jones documentary. Fantastic documentary. It's free to watch. Michelle Henry says hi. W. Cleveland says, Tom, congrats on 13,000 subs on the channel. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. So thanks everybody for subscribing to the channel. It has been a blast. It's been fun hanging out with everybody each night, talking with all of you guys. Hey, Sheila Neal is here. Hey, Sheila. Good to see you. The Swan is here. What's up, the Swan? Bernie Williams says, hi, my work college is at O'Hanlon's Bar on 14th Street. I wonder if he is still there. Interesting. We may actually pass by 14th Street tonight. Bedzita Lopez, welcome, Bedzita. Gummy Bear says, Tom, our pork belly is a safe investment. Well, I don't think people like invest in pork bellies. They may trade the futures on that. But I don't really trade commodities. Robert says, hi, Tom. Oil topped at 130 today. Yeah, this could be a blow off top in oil. You know, we've been talking about it for some time. I think that if you own, like, let's say the XLE, which is the energy ETF or exchange traded fund, I think it's going to gap open big tomorrow. So I think it'll be a sufficient place to potentially take some profits. 3K says, hello, Tom, from Valencia, Venezuela. Very cool. Best regards to you. Welcome to everybody from Venezuela. Very cool. Eric 20, I spoke on that, yes, ad nauseum. But yeah, I think he's gonna have a great time in Miami. Miami is a great city. I think he's gonna love it. Hey, Atomic Skittles says, hey Tom, what neighborhood are you in tonight? So we're near NYU again. We're gonna try to walk uptown to Midtown, but the stream may go out. But it's only gonna be like an hour-long stream tonight because I gotta get home because I have to work early in the morning. But this is Green Street, and if you look all the way uptown, you can actually see the very top of the One Vanderbilt building. And right across the street is the NYU Stern School of Business, which we talk about, Professor DeModern. He's considered the Dean of Valuation. But everybody, just a quick recap. So on Monday, so for tomorrow, the Federal Reserve is going to report consumer credit data for January. So in terms of debt, and total consumer debt is expected to rise $20 billion to $4.4 trillion, breaking a new all-time record high for consumer debt. Now, if you remember correctly, in 2020, when we had the pandemic, consumer debt actually fell significantly for the first time in a long, long time. But now we are right back in new all-time record highs, $4.44 trillion consumer debt. Kind of crazy to think about. Hey, Atomic Skittles is cool. Would you mind walking up Lafayette if you're going that way? I think we did that yesterday. But we may do that tonight. But good to see you, Atomic Skittles. Welcome. Hey, South Beach Trader is here. Says, what's up, everybody? And Tom, good to see you. Welcome. Fernando Mora says, hey, Tom, I've seen a few videos with a lot of garbage on the streets. Does it smell bad and is it noticeable? To me, it's not. Some people, it tends to be a little bit noticeable, but for me, honestly, it's not. Maybe I've gotten used to it, but I think they just put the garbage on the street so the sanitation workers can collect it. I don't think it's left out there for nefarious purposes, perhaps. Al says, gas prices are soaring. How much is it in New York? I'm probably the worst person to ask for that. I don't drive. But, so any New Yorkers in the chat, what are you paying at the pump now? Maybe $4? You know, it's crazy because a lot of our viewers from California, for some reason, they tend to pay the highest prices. I think the highest price we've heard on the stream was like $5.40, something crazy like that. Alan Wilson says, Tom, the rats don't mind either. Eric 20 says, have you heard what the average corporate raises are for 2022? I have not. What are they? I'd be interested to hear that. I don't think salaries are keeping up with inflation, though. So here we have the World Trade Center in the background here. Hey, Ryan Royal says, hi, Tom. Long time no see. Missed watching your streams. Hey, Ryan. Good to see you, my friend. We are near Washington Square Park and New York University. It's good to see you, Ryan. South Beach Trader, I spent many nights in the library to your left. Yeah, so this is the NYU library here. Maybe we'll go inside the park. Sharon Lee says, I pay $4. Crazy. Well, crude oil futures are up big tonight, open massive, but they're selling off. I think they opened at 130. They're back down to 125. Yeah, NMB 045 from Montreal, Canada says, Tom, salaries don't keep up with real estate prices either. That is true. That is very true. So we are in Washington Square Park. It's going to be a busy week in the markets. We have a lot of economic data coming out. Also, a very important piece of economic news that I tend to pay attention to a lot is the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey that will come out on Friday. And I think it's very important to pay attention to the Consumer Sentiment Survey because the vast majority of the United States economy is based upon consumer spending. And if consumers aren't feeling good and they're not optimistic, chances are they're probably not going to be spending much money. So we'll probably cover that in a dedicated stream on Friday as the University of Michigan releases its Consumer Sentiment Survey on Friday. Hey, Bernard Friedman is here. Welcome, Bernard. Robert says, Park is rocking tonight. Yeah, this is very encouraging. There's probably a lot of people here because it's really nice. It's like 66 degrees. Hey, Daddy Boggs says hello from Florida. Originally from Ozone Park, Queens. Welcome. Roy S says, I always consider Washington Square Park has similarity with Champs Isles in Paris. Interesting. John, good to see you. John says, this is fake, it's raining there. Good to see you, John. Darfred says $4.38 in Illinois. Wow. Hey, Tariq Khan says, hey from, hello. Good to see you. GG NYC is here. What's up, GG? Good to see you. So this is Washington Square Park, but we are going to try to head uptown. We'll see if the internet holds up. So you can see the Empire State Building in the background. Hey, Coffee Travel Fashions, this looks like such a good vibe. Wish I was there in Washington Square Park. Yeah, it's definitely a nice night out. We got the skateboarders out again. It's 66 degrees, so this is a little preview of what it's going to be like in New York during the spring and summer. Hey, Jay is here. Says lively crowd tonight. Good to see you, Jay. Welcome. Emilio J says, Tom, I have no face left to rip. I'm comfortably numb. Very hilarious, Emilio. Good to see you, my friend. Atomic Skittle 678 says, Tom, I always find it interesting how WSP, Washington Square Park, is built on top of a graveyard. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Hey, retired Florida guy says, hey, Tom, I plan on selling my UVXY position at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning to jump on the TQs. Big pop up in the market after a mini crash at the open. Any thoughts? Yeah, well, I think that anybody who's really long XLE, which is the energy, I think we're going to have a big gap open because crude oil or crude futures opened up massive at like 130. Oh, these things are so sick. CL, the ticker symbol for light crude oil, sweet crude, I think opened up at 130, but I think it's since settled back down to like 125. So if anybody is long, I think you're gonna make some good profits. MCWUPS1 says, Tom, my opinion is that the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey is outdated. It's a fair thought. I can get behind that. What is your reasoning for that? I'd be interested to hear that actually. But good to see you, UPS1. Thank you for joining, my friend, and I hope you had a fantastic weekend. It is election day, I think, on Wednesday in South Korea. So to all of our Korean viewers, I believe everybody has off on Wednesday. Matt William, good to see you. Hey, Bernard Friedman says, hey, the park looks very good, mate. Good to see you. Roy S says, yeah, is the Wounded Knee there? We got to bring back the Wounded Knee. Eric 20 says, how long can Russians survive with the sanctions, days or weeks? I mean, that's perplexing to me. They're essentially cut off from the world. So to be totally honest, I'm not sure how long they could last. I've essentially gotten everything wrong with this whole Russia-Ukraine situation. So I'm just surprised that Russia actually had the gall to actually invade Ukraine. I mean, there's no sort of rational reason to do so, not even economically. So beats me. I just hope the fighting simmers down and comes to a halt. Hey, Two Wheel Pine says, what's up, Tom? I'm late. Good to see you, my friend. Lewis says, lovebirds are out. What's up, Lewis? Gummy Bear says, Tom, you should get one of those orbs yourself. Perhaps. Yeah, everybody's like, it's very crowded during the summer here as well. It's one of my favorite spots in New York City. But also we have some interesting earnings reports coming up in the cybersecurity space. So on Wednesday, a stock we talk about, or a company we talk about a lot, is CrowdStrike. So ticker symbol CRWD is reporting earnings on Wednesday. Also on Wednesday, Disney is holding their shareholders meeting, so their annualized shareholders meeting. Disney will be, that was nice. Disney will be putting on the annualized shareholders meeting on Wednesday. CrowdStrike is one to watch, not only for an investment opportunity, but I think for a career path as well. We've sort of talked about this ad nauseum. What we want to look for are fast-growing companies that are profitable and expanding their total addressable markets. And I think cybersecurity is going to be a sector in the economy as a whole that'll have significant tailwinds. So if we think about Zscaler, Palo Alto Networks, CrowdStrike, so we'll cover that earnings report on Wednesday. I just want to let everybody know about it. Christina says, Tom, did you ever go to Little Odessa, Brighton Beach, Brooklyn? I don't think I've been there. Maybe we'll have to go there over the summer. But I have not been to Brighton Beach. Robert says no shirt on in March. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you know, when it's 66 degrees in New York after it's been 19 degrees every day, it feels like it's 80. It feels really nice. Hey, Yogi is here, says great stream again, Tom, New York. USA only imports 3% of Russian oil. Why our gas goes up over 20%? So that's a fantastic question. And if anybody read the cover story this week in Barron's, there was an analyst, I think, from Jefferies that was talking about that exact thing. And they were saying with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, it's causing a lot of what you call FOMO, or fear of missing out, and fear. And that tends to make markets surprise to the upside and euphoria, and also surprise to the downside too. So I think this energy trade is becoming very crowded. Last week in the Behind the Street newsletter, we did write about that. I think, you know, if we have any sort of positive price action in crude or different energy stocks, I think it'd be a good time to secure some profits. Because I think a lot of people, a lot of institutional clients are probably hammering their brokers saying, look, you got to get us exposure to crude, you got to get us exposure to energy stocks, when a lot of these things are already up hundreds of percent. And that's usually how like a wave 5 sort of move works. You'll have these parabolic blow off tops. Could crude go higher? Yeah, it could. But I think the risk reward ratio isn't good for a long position right now, because things are really starting to take off. But so to answer your question, I think maybe it's just the fear. And usually when there's very emotional situations, people tend to ignore the data and just go based on their emotion. Kenny says, Tom, it's actually One World Trade Center, not the Freedom Tower anymore. Good to see you, Kenny. Yogi says, Tom, gas in Los Angeles is between $5.80 and $7.30. Depressing where you buy, or depending on where you buy. I guess also depressing as well. Hey, Frazier says, hi, Tom. I read 15% of U.S. crude comes from Alberta. What's up, Frazier? Good to see you. War Walker, what's up? Good to see you, War Walker. San Miguel says, Tom, this looks like a mini Woodstock. Good to see you, San Miguel. John says, Tom, gas prices are way too high near me. $4.19 at the pump. Vinny Castellano says, Tom, if they ever made a movie out of your life, who would you want to play yourself? Who would I want to play me? Probably Keanu Reeves. I think he's a really stand-up guy and a very nice guy. Mickey Handel says, hey, Tom, it's looking nice out tonight. Good to see you. Chavez is here. Sophia Griffith says, hello, everybody. Just joining. Is this Washington Square Park? It is. So we are in Washington Square Park. Very lively night. Very beautiful night here. Hey, Jay says, Tom, the Wall Street Journal had a story about U.S. officials meeting with regime in Venezuela to discuss oil exports to replace Russia's. Interesting. Yeah, Venezuela is another government. We won't get into that, but Ruben, good to see you. Says hello. What's up, Ruben? Welcome. Hope you're having a good one. So what does everybody think the CPI numbers are going to come in? So we are going to get those numbers on Thursday, but there's a lot of controversy on Wall Street. Well, I guess I shouldn't say controversy. I should say difference in opinion about where the CPI number will come in. Consensus is for 7.9%. Mercury X, long time no see. Good to see you, Mercury X. Says, did you see gas prices dropping soon do you see gas prices dropping soon due to barrels being recently released? Yeah, so if you're talking about like our reserves, I believe the Biden administration is releasing, I'm not sure exactly how much, but it's probably not going to be enough to drop oil prices. My thesis right now is there's a lot of fear and uncertainty in the market, and I think, you know, when you have panic, that can not only cause selling, but it can cause panic buying too. And I think a lot of investors are probably calling their brokers and saying, look, you got to get me exposure to this oil and energy trade. And I think that's why we're seeing these sort of parabolic blow-off tops. But I think if you have exposure to the energy sector, I think this would probably be a good time to maybe start to unwind those positions as opposed to buying. Because I'm seeing a lot of like irrational, exuberant behavior. But again, I could be wrong, but that's just my personal opinion. We all have different opinions in the chat. But what do you think? Do you think we're going to see higher oil prices? I think they'll start to come down in Q3, Q4. Sharon says, Tom, it is 4:19 here in Illinois. Is there really $7 a gallon in California? I don't know about that. I don't know about that high. But I mean, if it is, that is insane. Clarence Jackson says, Tom, sell high. Good evening, Clarence. Good to see you. SME Media is here. Welcome, SME Media. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Miguel Gonzalez says, hello, Tom. Happy Sunday. What's up, Miguel? Hope you had a good weekend. Peter Webley says, gas is $5.50 to $6 a gallon in LA. Yikes. I pay $50 a month to ride the metro. Yeah, it's probably a better deal. Probably a way better deal. Or if you have a Tesla, perhaps. Sparkle says, Tom, gas is insane. $50 to fill my tank. It used to be $40 or less. Yeah, you know what's another thing I also saw? There's been a lot of photos on Twitter of people pulling up to the gas station and like hoarding all of the gasoline. MCW UPS1 says, Tom, higher for now. We were at these prices in 2008, I believe, and with inflation, we could see much higher than that. Yeah, so UPS1, what do you think about where do you think the CPI numbers are going to come in? You think they're going to come in higher than expected? I would love to know your thoughts on that. San Miguel says, Tom, do you keep track on reinsurance markets? I assume reinsurance premiums have raised through the roof. I don't. But I think a lot less people are using the MetroCard. Probably because, what's it called? You have the Apple Pay. I just use the Apple Pay, but very seldom do I take the subway anyway. But I think the MetroCards are a big waste of plastic. Hey, Laytha says, hello, Tom, and everybody in the chat. Good evening, Laytha. We are walking near NYU tonight. It seems like we've been stuck near NYU for quite some time because the internet service doesn't work in Midtown. UPS1 says, Tom, I believe it's higher. Yes, unfortunately. I was hoping after Christmas supply would catch up and we'd see prices drop, but that hasn't happened yet. That's a good thought. I think I agree with you. I definitely think I agree with you, UPS. Eric 20 says, Tom, which companies will be hurt by high gas prices? Well, I think have seen a rotation out of big tech stocks. So if anybody saw I posted a picture on Twitter today. If you want to take a look at my Twitter, it's @WalksWallStreet. And I think the first of every month, the first Saturday of every month, Investors Business Daily will post a list of all the top new buys of the top performing mutual funds on Wall Street. And over the past 2 months, it's been every single company on the new buy list: oil and gas, energy, manufacturing, oil and gas, consumer staples. But I think now, just in the photo I just posted, you're starting to see semiconductors creep in there. You're starting to see more of the mega cap tech stocks come back. So I actually think that institutions are now rotating back into the tech trade. That doesn't mean it's going to go up overnight, but I think they're starting to reaccumulate shares of good businesses that are compounding out their earnings, like Alphabet, Apple, things like that. So check that out. Off the Hook says, this is why we all need electric cars. Tom M says, U.S. oil prices soar Sunday, briefly punching above $130 as talk of Russia oil embargo heats up. Tom M, you're 100% right, my friend. Felipe says, hello, Tom, from Westchester, New York. Love this walk. What are your thoughts about the effects of workers not coming back to the office in New York City? Well, I think this is where I actually agree with Mayor Eric Adams. I think Eric Adams is a smart guy, contrary to what a lot of people think. Oh, check that out. You guys see that? It's the Empire State Building through all these trees here. But I think it was about 3 weeks ago where Mayor Eric Adams actually met with, I believe it was 50, I think it may have been 50 or 100 CEOs at some major companies in New York. And essentially the reason for the meeting, to your point, Felipe, he said, look, in order for New York to make a full recovery, not just a recovery to the 1%, you need to start bringing your employees back to the office. And the reason for that is because, let's say if you work at the investment bank, you work at a big tech company, you know, although you can work remote, right, and your income has probably either stayed the same, if not went up, if you're not coming into the city, you're not spending money at the small bodegas like this one, right? On your lunch break, you're not going to eat and not going to grab a cup of coffee. I think you catch the drift, right? So a lot of these smaller businesses or these smaller shops are seeing a lot less foot traffic, especially during the weekdays, because to your point, a lot of people aren't going back to the office as much as they were. So I think that'll continue to be a problem, but I think that Eric Adams will probably, you know, push a little bit harder to at least say, look, if you're not going to bring back the employees 5 days a week, at least do like 1 or 2 just to sort of get some foot traffic flowing through the city. But yeah, that's my view on it. I think,
what's up, brother?
I actually think it's, in my view, I think it's better for me to work in the office. I tend to do better with that. But then again, everybody's different. Hey, John L. Says, problem is that will increase gas usage, further increasing costs. Says John L. Good to see you. Sebastian says, hey, Tom. Kevin says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Latha says, gas increased 60 cents a gallon at Costco in San Francisco Bay Area this week. Oof. South Beach Trader says, Tom, summer driving season is close approaching. I hope gas prices come down. Tesla will be receiving a top line of new orders. Off the Hook says, Tom, forcing people to come back for restaurants is not cool. They need to adjust to. Yeah, I see your point. I do see your point. And I get it, right? I'm always in that boat where I don't want to stifle innovation. And I think one of the biggest things for innovation that has come out of this pandemic, to your point, Off the Hook, is it's taught us that we could still be as productive working remote, right? So let's say if you work in the tech sector or you work in banking or whatever, healthcare, and you could work remote, well, now you could stay home with the kids. You don't have to hire a babysitter. So there's a lot of positives that come out of it. But with every positive, there is a negative. So maybe not mandating people to come back to the office, but perhaps if you give your employees a choice and say, look, you can come in if you want, but everybody should come in like 1 day a week, maybe. But you make a good point. You make a fair point. I'm definitely not, off the hook says Tom, most people love remote. Agreed. I'm definitely not in favor of mandating anything. To your point, I think you're right. You're right on that. Look, I mean, it's a tough situation. It's tough. Hey, Felix is here. Says, hey, Tom, buenos noches. Buenos noches to you. Atomic Skittles says, Tom, I agree with the mayor to some extent. However, Manhattan is not the only part of New York City. Many people whose office is in Manhattan may live in Brooklyn/Queens and can support small businesses there as well. That's a good point. I never really thought about that. That's a good point. You make a good point. Ren 10 says, Tom, gold hit $2,000 an ounce. Yeah, so gold futures, I posted it in the Discord. Again, if gold cracks new all-time record highs, I will be starting a position. I will be buying gold. AO says, remote is the wave. I agree. Tom M says, Tom, GM failed at electric cars. The Bolt equals failed. Volt equals fail. Stop this now. Climate change equals hoax. Tom M, I'm not sure I agree with you, but I do respect your views and your opinions. British Gray says, good Sunday evening, Tom. Welcome, British Gray. British Gray is joining us from the beautiful Tampa, Florida. Hope you're well, British Gray. Good to see you, Tom M. So check out the very top of the One World Trade Center. Yeah, Layla's like, Tom, hope you're enjoying the warm weather tonight. It's 52 degrees here in Cali. Hey, we beat you out. It was 66 here today. Charlie Richardson says, hey, Tom and everybody. Yogi says $3,000 an ounce for gold. Nah, 2,000. But hey, who knows? Maybe it'll break out. Chris Beeman is here. What's up, Chris? Welcome. Dogman says, I would agree with GM's struggles. We will see, though. Well, I think that GM has been getting way too much praise from the Biden administration, but then again, it's because they have union workers and Tesla does not. Noel Rodriguez says, hey, Tom, I'm new here, but I'm wondering 500 viewers and 175 likes. Hit the like button. Appreciate it, Noel. Noel Rodriguez, thank you for being here. Mr. says, what's up, Tom? Welcome, Mr. So everybody, on Tuesday, the National Federation of Independent Businesses releases its Small Business Optimism Index for February. Now, the consensus is for a 97.4 reading. But a lot of people are actually expecting a higher score. They're expecting small businesses to come in more optimistic. I'm not so sure about that, but here's an interesting statistic. It says the number of small businesses that are raising prices reached the highest level since 1974 as small to medium-sized businesses try to pass on price increases to consumers. And we've been talking about this a lot on the stream because if you think about it, what are sort of the businesses, I always hear this if you turn on CNBC, if you turn on Bloomberg, they're always like, what are the businesses you want to own in an inflationary environment? And you'll have like a managing director at Goldman or whatever, any of the major financial firms come on, and they'll always say in times of inflation, you want to own businesses that have really, really strong brands and pricing power. Because if you're like a new startup and nobody really knows you, if you raise prices, chances are your customers are just going to shop elsewhere. But if you have a really, really stable brand like Apple, for example, or Starbucks, and you say, hey, everybody, listen, due to price increases of semiconductors or coffee beans, we're going to raise our prices 30%. Well, I think people would probably still pay more for Apple devices. I mean, look, Apple is even selling a cleaning cloth for $30 and the thing is sold out. So that just tells you the power of a brand. So I think more large corporations are going to have an easier time passing on those price increases to consumers. But according to the data out of Barron's this week, Small businesses trying to pass on at least price increases to consumers reached an all-time record high since 1974. Hey, Deja Vu is here. Good to see you, Deja Vu. This is gold at 2,000. Tom, hello. MJ Capital is here. This is good night. We are here again. Have a great night and good work. God bless you from Brazil. Welcome everybody from Brazil. Very cool. Sunshine, New York. It's 65 degrees in New York City. It felt amazing today. Sunshine. Smee Media says, hey Tom, are you going to have a special celebrity stream soon to honor 1 year on Walks on Wall Street? We may have you on the stream. I think that'd be a good idea. Smee Media on the stream. Off the Hook says, how can we stop inflation? I think we stop inflation by stop the money printing by the Federal Reserve. Wallop all the times as it is nice out there today. It was really nice today. Tom M says, Tom, gas prices started rising well before Russia/Ukraine. This is all the current administration's fault, period. That is true. Oil and gas prices they've been on a tear since the lows of 2020. Levy Perks says, good evening, Tom and everybody. Let me just make sure I'm not missing any comments. Apologize. Exploration, good to see you, my friend. Solomon Taylor says, hello, Tom. What's up, Solomon? Claudio Mendez says, hey, Tom, greetings from Brazil. Do you go live every day? Not every day. Probably about 5 days a week. But now we are on West Houston Street. But yeah, we go live about 5 days a week. Ed Potke is joining us from Corning, New York. Welcome, Ed. What's up? So maybe we'll make a left on West Houston. Or maybe we'll cross the street. Hey, Big Easy says, Tom, I think remote work had a quick fix for a problem we had. Getting back to normal means getting back to the office. Yeah, it seems like we have a lot of conflicting opinions on this in the chat, which I think is really interesting. I think it's good to collect a lot of that data. It seems like 50% of the people in the chat hold the viewpoint of, look, if you want to get back to normal, you got to get back to the office. But other people are like, look, the pandemic has taught us we could still be productive and work remote. Interesting answers we're getting. I like it. Claudio Mendez says, hey, Tom, motorcycles are rare in New York. There's actually a big motorcycle community. There's a lot of the Hells Angels as well in New York. Judy D, what's going on? Sunshine After Rain is here. Good to see you, Sunshine. Welcome. It's 66 degrees here in New York. I can't even believe it. So this is King Street, and we are headed southbound. Hey, Juan Bueno says, good evening, Tom. Isn't the price of oil determined by the oil cartel, OPEC? If they wanted to pump more oil out, the prices would drop. That is true. But I also think so we heard from OPEC last week. And I think that, here's the thing. Now that oil prices are so high, I think that oil and gas companies are really trying to cash in on those profits. So perhaps they're not pumping as much oil as they should. It's a good thought, though. But I think the United States, we could be totally energy independent. Totally. Al Baker says the days of creative financing are over. The bank are hip to it, says Al Baker. Good to see you, Al. Okay, now we are at Prince Street. MCW UPS 1 says, Tom, gas prices started rising after oil companies started focusing shareholder returns after negative futures contracts from COVID. Not a blame on any administration. That's true. We briefly had negative futures oil prices excuse me, during COVID for a brief period of time. And look, it's by law, a company has to maximize profits for shareholders. It's actually a law. If you hold out maximizing profits, That's actually illegal. So I think to your point, I think a lot of oil and gas companies are trying to maximize profits right now. Pacific Desert Raid says, hello, Tom and everybody. Good to see you, Pacific Desert Raid. Welcome. Kim says, New York City is so beautiful. It's a nice night tonight. Abdullah is here, says, hey, Tom and beautiful people in the chat. What is up, Abdullah? Dog D says, Tom, many remote workers abuse the privilege. Do you think so? I'm not sure about that. I mean, if anything, and look, this is a little bit of anecdotal data, but during the pandemic, I was working for my previous company. I actually found myself working more hours remote because you got to understand something. When you're in the office, right? And here's like the hierarchy, how it went with me. You know, you have your manager, then you have like your director, and then you have the VP. A lot of those guys and girls would go home at around like 5 o'clock, and then the emails would die down because they are driving, they're on the train or whatnot. And then that's sort of when things settle down. But now, when everybody's remote, you know, people are eating dinner at their computers. So it's like, you know, might as well respond to this email. And there's no downtime. But when you had that commute, it was like a cutoff point, if that makes sense. Even for clients, you know, now clients are still working remotely. So there's no commute on that side either. So they're hammering me all the way up to 10 o'clock at night. So if anything, I think the corporations are squeezing more productivity out of the employees, and the employers are abusing that. But that was just anecdotal data from my side. NMB 045 says, Tom, I feel no different. Home or office when working, same pace for me. Interesting. Claudio says, Tom, have you ever thought about living anywhere but New York? Yes. I moved to Miami, Florida. Keitcha says, yes, I heard that too. People working more when they work remote. See, Vinny, good to see you. Dog D says, barking dogs, music, babies crying in the background, etc. Very unprofessional. Yeah, I've seen some crazy stuff. Terry P says, hello, Tom and everybody. Our gas prices in Southern Ontario just jumped $1.84. Yikes. SR is here, says, yo, what's up, SR? Good to see you. Dog D says, if you work from your home, you should be monitored on camera by your employer for quality control. Yeah, if my employer ever did that, I'd be out so fast. I'd tell him to pound sand. I'm like, that's sick. Hey. That's actually one of the reasons why I left my old company. They're like, now that you're working remote, we're gonna listen in on all your calls. We're gonna track your activity to the T. I can't deal with micromanaging. I think that's how you lose good salespeople. And the amount of really, really good salespeople I've seen leave a lot of really good companies is crazy over the past couple years. That's why I left. They're like, hey, I noticed your activity levels wasn't meeting the quota for the day. Any reason? I'm like, yeah, I already exceeded 300% of my quota for the month. And they're like, yeah, you still have to do the activity. I'm like, okay, I'll go do the activity somewhere else at another company. And I'll take all my clients with me. How about that? Abdullah says, any creative work hates micromanagement. Agreed. The best manager I've ever had in my life was at my old company. But once the whole pandemic and our company went through merger and acquisition, we got all new higher up management, in which case, you know, stuff rolls downhill. But at my old company, my boss was like, listen, Tom, as long as you're hitting quota, you're not even gonna hear from me. That's the way, I mean, if you're in a sales environment, if you're an account executive, enterprise account executive, That's how it should be. If you're hitting your number, if you're hitting your target, that is what you signed up to do, right? You didn't sign up to do anything else, but this is the number we need you to hit as a company. If you're not hitting that, then we're gonna micromanage you. But if you are hitting that, you won't hear from me. Hey, Adriana's here, good to see you. Steven is here. Eric 20 says, what's the difference between a good and a bad salesperson? Discipline, in my opinion. Discipline and ethics. So we're about to see a really nice view of One World Trade Center. Cynthia Beal says, Tom, my friend is in finance. The company records their phone conversations. Well, if you work in finance, I think that's a different story because you may have to. I think there's actually regulations. Is that Sarbanes-Oxley, I believe? That you have to... I mean, if you're... It depends on the industry. If you're working in finance, I think you have to have some of those calls recorded for regulatory compliance. WW says discipline is probably the biggest difference between a good and a bad for a lot of things. That's true. Solomon Taylor says, can a penny stock be a good investment? Usually never. Because companies are penny stocks for a reason. Penny stocks usually don't have any earnings or sales. I think that's one of the best views we've ever got on the stream of One World Trade. Ed Podke, good to see you. Hey, Stevens, Pizza Hut is in Wyoming. Good to see you. Triple G, what's up? Hey, Abdullah, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate you very, very much. Thank you, Abdullah. Nicholas Morgan says, Tom, do you work in tech sales? I do. I do work in tech sales. Two Will Pine says, totally agree about the micromanaging. Really underrated topic. Usually the micromanaging tends to happen at larger organizations. When you work in like a startup culture, it's usually not like that. James Davidson says, good evening. What's up, James? Welcome. We are here at Watt Street. And it is quite windy tonight. Hey, Randy says, hi, Tom. It looks like a great night for a stroll. Thank you for the view. No problem. It is a great view tonight. Fantastic. Hey, Music says, hello from balmy Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Welcome. Hey, Darth Bong says, hi, Tom. Beautiful night tonight. I love the view of One World Trade. RIP to all of those who lost their lives. I agree. I agree. Chad Tucker's here, says, have you been up in the One World Trade Center observation deck? I haven't yet. Not yet. But I think Chad, to your point, that's probably it probably would be pretty good to go there. So maybe we'll do that soon. If you guys are enjoying the stream so far, feel free to leave a like on the video. Heyman Raj says, Tom, tomorrow will be warmer. Hopefully. So I think we covered Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for next week. So Thursday, we have a couple of interesting companies reporting earnings. We have DocuSign, ticker symbol DOCU. We have a Chinese company reporting, which is JD, or JD.com, ticker symbol JD. We also have Oracle, which is a massive software company. Larry Ellison. Big, massive company. If you want to break into software sales or tech sales, I think Oracle is a really good start. Because if you ever work at Oracle, you could pretty much have really good exit opportunities anywhere you want. And then lastly, we have Rivian, which is the EV company that went public via Special Purpose Acquisition Company, or SPAC, reporting earnings on Thursday. So check this out. We're on Thompson Street and Broome Street. Love the facade here. Hey, 48 says, I always love the stream, Tom. Thank you, 48. 48 is joining us from New Zealand. Welcome to all of our viewers from New Zealand. Victor says, hi, Tom. I must travel to New York. It's one of the cities I like in America. Please come. Oh, Dogman says, I believe Rivian was IPO. Was it IPO? I thought it was a SPAC. I could be wrong. Two Wheel Freedom says, what's your take on Citadel going public? I don't know if Ken Griffin is going to want to do that. I'm not sure. Hey, Razzle Dazzle 786 says, Tom, congratulations on 13,000 subs. Thank you, Razzle Dazzle. Thank you for subscribing and being here, everybody. I think these streams are really fun, talking with everybody. Hey, Mike940 says good night, and thank you, Tom, for the walk, and I will see you on Monday. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Make it a great week. Hey, Steven says going to graduation on May 14th. Awesome, dude. Congrats. Not Kenny says, Tom, are you one of those people who starts to wear shorts once it hits 65? Yes. I'm not wearing shorts today, but yes, I am one of those people. So everybody, tomorrow night, right around 9 p.m. or maybe 10 o'clock, 9 or 10, I will be sending out the Behind the Street newsletter, which is a free financial newsletter that I write for about, I think, over 600 people now, which is fantastic. So if you want to sign up to read all of my thoughts on the market, not only in the US, but emerging markets, as well as the commodities market, if you type !news, NEWS, in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link where you could sign up for free to read the newsletter. Triple G, good to see you, my friend. Cynthia Beal says, Tom, will you skateboard soon? Now that the weather's getting better, we definitely will, 100%. 100%. Lady O, thank you for joining. Have a good night, Lady O. Steven, good to see you. Sharon Lee is here, 48, says, welcome to spring in that part of the world. What season is it near you, 48, in New Zealand? Yeah, photos from around New York. I'm liking it too. So Photos says, Tom, really liking the graffiti and wheat paste artist in Soho. Marty Lewis says, hi, Tom. Thanks for being out there for us tonight. At the pool tonight, and they had the roof open because of the warmer weather. Very cool. Love that, Marty Lewis. John L says, Tom, New Zealand is like San Diego weather. That's fantastic. So lastly, to cap off the week, Chris Beeman says, Tom, New Zealand is starting the fall. Interesting. Maybe we'll visit one day. But to cap off the week on Friday, the University of Michigan is releasing its Consumer Sentiment Survey for March. The expectations are for a reading of 64. And if consensus is correct, that'll be about 1 point higher than the reading came in February. Claudius says, Tom, do you think the streets in New York are clean? I think they're getting better. I think some of the streets are dirty, but I think things are improving. Yeah, James Davidson says, Tom, March is usually a very crazy month with warm spells and whatnot. .48 says, yes, we are in fall. Poon Adams says, good evening, Tom. What's up, Poon Adam? Good to see you. Hey, FredX. Good to see you. Says, Tom, I'm back from vacation. Missed my evening walks. Thank you so much, Tom. Good to see you, FredX. We are in Soho now, checking out some of the stuff. WW says, Tom, I'm walking out in Brooklyn right now, and I did not realize how nice it was outside. The weather was phenomenal today. The sun was actually out for half of it too. 48 says, Tom, please visit New Zealand. We definitely will have to. Hey, Matthew G is here. Says, good evening, Tom. What is up, Matthew G? I think the only thing we missed, well, I guess this one is for rent. Wow, check out how crazy it looks with it all hollowed out. Wow. So I think the only thing we missed is that on Wednesday, the Bureau of Labor Statistics releases the job openings and labor turnover survey. Many economists on Wall Street are forecasting 11.1 million job openings on the last business day of January. That would be up 200,000 jobs. More than December. So a lot of jobs opening, a lot of jobs going unfilled. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. John L says, Atlantic Fed says 0% growth. Claudia says, Tom, can it still snow this year? I think it probably will. We usually get one freak snowstorm in March, and then everything tends to die down. CC7 says, lots of live New York City walks happening right now. Awesome, love it. Mana D is here. Good to see you, Mana. Hope your exams went well. Triple G says, something tells me we should be bullish on Rivian because I feel the government subsidies are going to bolster it big time. You may be right, but here's the only thing with me. I have a very, very strict rule that I'm not allowed to buy any stocks that aren't profitable. And Rivian has very, very little earnings in sales or no earnings at all. Atomic Skittles says, Tom, could you show the view behind you? We can, but we'll probably have to cross the street. So yes, hold on, Atomic Skittles. Please stand by. Hey, MG Reedy, good to see you, my friend. Broads says, Tom, on the couch watching the stroll, a couple more blocks, and you'll have my new shoes broken in. Bravo. What's up, Broads? Good to see you. Alan Wilson says the future world of walks in Wall Street. Good to see you, Alan Wilson. War Walker says allergies getting the best of us. So if you look straight ahead, you could actually see the Empire State Building and one Vanderbilt all in one shot. So you'll see one Vanderbilt to your right and Empire State Building to your left. Speaking of real estate prices, let's see how much things are going for here. Okay, so this is a Greenwich Village condominium, 2-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom for 7.65 mil. Not a bad deal. Okay, this one is in Gramercy, Kips Bay, or Gramercy Park. This is a co-op 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom for $699,000. Sounds like a pretty good deal. I think that's it. I think they only show the... So this is a new building in Morningside Heights. This is way up there. So anywhere from a studio to a 4-bedroom, they range from $920,000 to $6 million. Wow, in Morningside Heights. I never thought I'd see that. And people will probably buy them. People will probably buy them right up. Morningside Heights is probably a little bit, probably too far than I would like, to be honest, but I mean, wow, if they can command those type of prices for Morningside Heights, it's pretty impressive. Christina says, Tom, why are the street signs green and some are brown? I have no idea, to be totally honest with you. Matt G says, Tom, what is your favorite neighborhood in Manhattan? That would probably have to be the Upper West Side. I'd say anywhere between 66th and 98th is probably my favorite spot in the city. This building's kind of cool with all the artwork on it. Hey, Santos says, what's up? What's up, Santos? Good to see you. Morningside Heights is near Columbia, says SME Media. That it is. Yeah, SME Media, you're right. So SME Media is like, don't forget your monthly maintenance fees, or the HOA fees, I guess. John says, Tom, are you wearing a Fitbit? I'm not. So I thought about getting an Apple Watch, but I'm like, probably shouldn't get that because I'll just lose it. Hey, Will S says, where's the best food? I'm kind of biased on that, but I'd say the Upper West Side for sure. Hey, Frank Gonzalez is here. What's up, Frank? Says, Tom, curious how many times you have walked through 368 Broadway. I'm not too sure, honestly. Hey, everybody, we have the one and only Dino is here. It says, hey, Tom, Brown Street sign signify historical area and districts. Thank you for that. Good to see you, Dino. Long time no see. I hope you're doing well. SME Media says some of those listed were $1,700 a month in maintenance fees. Jeez. Yeah, I don't know if I would ever do that. All right, so we'll try to cross the street safely. Eric says, are the subways empty this time of the week? On the weekends, yeah, they're probably way more empty than they are during the weekday. Because during the weekday, we'll avoid that. During the weekday, there's a lot of people, you know, obviously going to work. Hey, NMAT says, is it true Wall Street, NASDAQ will be moving out of New York City? Can do things online from the Bahamas? Is it true that Wall Street, NASDAQ will be moving out of New York City? I don't think so. Is the NASDAQ moving out of New York City? That's news to me. I hope they don't. But thank you so much for the $5 donation. But to your point about can you do things online? Yeah, I think if you're asking a question about like high frequency trading, the vast majority of trading activity doesn't actually happen on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Excuse me, that is mainly just like, right now it's just mainly a historical site as well as like a TV studio for CNBC. Very rarely, there's really no trading on floor brokers right now. Everything is all online, to your point. But I didn't know that. Is the NASDAQ really moving out? Interesting, but thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Roy S. Steve says, do you feel safe walking around New York City at night? Yes. Yes, I do. Orland Edwards says, hey, Tom, and everybody. Hey, Orland, good to see you. Welcome. Well, I think NASDAQ has an office in Times Square. But a lot of the trades, to your point, photos from around New York, are settled across the river in New Jersey. I need to get a bottle of water. Hey, Shop by Scott is here. Says hello, sending good vibes to all. What's up, Scott? Good to see you. Ooh, that's a good question. So Christina says, Tom, did you ever go to the Commodities Exchange in Chicago? No, but I would really, really like to. So there is Tasty Trades, I think, is located in Chicago. That is Tom Snoznoff's company. Tasty Trades or Tasty Works, I believe. But there's a really big finance community in Chicago. Very big. Huge. Citadel is there. Well, pretty much in every major city, but Chicago is really big. John L. says, Tom, they're scared wealthy Russians look to sell U.S. real estate everywhere from Fisher Island to Billionaires Row. Oof. Yeah, that could make a dent. J.A. says, quants are in Chicago. Yeah, good to see you, J.A. What's up, my friend? Yeah, so I was reading a New York Post article. Supposedly some of the journalists at the New York Post were able to locate where a lot of the Russian oligarchs' homes were in New York. And a lot of them are on Billionaires Row, Central Park South. And most all of these apartments actually sit vacant. You know, as they like to call it, the piggy bank in the sky. So I could only imagine if they start selling those, I mean, whew. But yeah, Fisher Island, I think, is the most expensive zip code in the world, located in southern Florida. You know, also another location in Florida where there's a lot of Russian money is in Sunny Isles Beach. Claudio's Tom, on Sundays, New York sleeps earlier. Indeed. CCB RCC 7 says, you ever take the subway? I don't really take the subway. I just walk everywhere, to be totally honest with you. JA says, Tom, true story. When I was in college, I interned in New York City, but didn't live there. Met a Russian diplomat's son. He let me stay in a vacant apartment for the summer. It was amazing. Jay, that is insane. Was the apartment nice? Where was it? I mean, you don't have to disclose that, but I'm actually kind of curious. That's, what an amazing find. That's a good point. So Johnny and the Bulldogs says, Tom, if any of those Russians try to sell, the money would be frozen immediately. That's probably true. That's actually probably true. Chris Beeman says, Tom, I went to Chicago Exchange. When I was younger, I worked at the Mercantile. I worked the Merchandise Mart. Very cool. Shop by Scott says, they're still out here playing backgammon every day. Sunny Isles Beach, apparently unfazed so far. Yeah, I mean, and also I believe there's going to be and Scott probably, so Shot by Scott is from Stony Isles Beach. Well, not from, but lives there now. I think they're building the new Bentley Tower in Stony Isles Beach, Florida too, where a lot of the, what's it called? It's sort of like the Billionaires Row in New York, but just on the water. I think you have the Porsche Design Tower, you have that new Bentley building, but I think it's going to be completed in 2026. And I think the Aston Martin building, is that considered Brickell? That may not be considered Brickell. That may be considered downtown Miami. JA says it was very nice. It was near NYU. The context is that my friend went to NYU, met Diplomat's son at a party. Jeez. Well, yeah, JA, I mean, NYU is a top tier school. You know, some of the most wealthy families in the world send their children to go to school here. So that's an awesome find, dude. That's awesome. Yeah, Shot by Scott says the Bentley Tower, those piggy banks in the sky are on the way up. So speaking of NYU, we are right here on the campus of New York University. Hey, Guzman says, good to see you, Tom. Hello from Uruguay, welcome. Hey, Marcelo says, shout out to Brazil. Hemp Lord says, good night, Tom, and I will talk later. See you, Hemp Lord. Thank you for joining tonight. And good luck tomorrow.
And I think people are going to really feel.
Claudio says, Tom, is there a risk walking late at night in New York? I think there's a risk walking anywhere. I think I'll be all right, but yeah, there's been an uptick in crime, but I think it's going to get better. I do appreciate the concern, though, I really do. But, you know, there's not much we could do. Matt G says, I just signed up for your newsletter and I look forward to reading it. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt G. Yeah, so if you click that link on the newsletter, I've archived all the newsletters so you could read them. So if you want to read last week's edition, we also did a special edition of the Behind the Street newsletter where we took a deep dive into the market activity during Operation Desert Storm in 1991 and compared that to potentially the market movements now with the invasion of Russia. A lot of skateboarders out tonight. It's good to see everybody out. Hey, Zilch is here. Says, hey, pal. What's up, Zilch? Good to see you, my friend. John L says, yes, the NQs are down 2% now. Near critical support. Yeah, if we crack the lows, we're probably going to make a big, violent sea wave down. If we do that, I think that'd actually be a pretty good buying opportunity. But we'll definitely wait for a follow-through day.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Everybody's out playing soccer. It's nice out tonight. Zilt says, Tom, you sound different. Are you sick? I am not sick. But we have been talking about 3 hours each night. So maybe my voice is getting a teeny bit tired. So I looked at the YouTube analytics. Each night on the stream, we get about 6,000 comments. And I do my best to read every one of them. So my voice probably is getting a tad bit strained from that. Plus, we probably walk about maybe 7 miles every night. So let's head back uptown. No, but I'm feeling good. But maybe it's just, maybe it's my voice is a tad bit tired. Yeah, Cynthia feels like, wow, 6,000. Yeah, isn't that crazy? We have roughly, there's anywhere from like 4,500 to 6,000 comments in the chat per night, according to the YouTube analytics, which is great. I mean, the more the merrier. The more ideas and opinions that are shared on the stream, the more I learn. So I'm happy about it. Stacy Stripes says, Tom, Truth Social best stock, Twitter and Facebook going down, buy physical silver. So I think silver futures were up today. Hey, my friend Kevin Sunderland is here. Says, Tom, you sound the same. Good to see you, Kevin. Also, it is a bit windy, so maybe that's why I sound different. But Kevin Sunderland, I hope you had a great weekend, my friend. Shelby says, thoughts on Peloton? I don't have any thoughts on Peloton. Usually it was a very big hype sort of company. And about 6 months ago, everybody was asking me about it. I'm like, it doesn't have any earnings, so I can't buy it. And usually when the market turns, the companies with no earnings, those are the ones that get absolutely hammered. And now it's down 90%. And I think it'll probably stay down there forever. Bob, she says, what do you think about Bitcoin? I do have exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Speaking about Bitcoin and Ethereum, in April, the beginning of April, we do have a press pass to the Bitcoin 2022 conference. So we will be front row during the interview of Michael Saylor. And Michael Saylor is the CEO and founder of MicroStrategy, which is a big enterprise software company. We will also be front and center when they interview the Winklevoss twins, as well as Andrew Yang, and many other big titans on Wall Street. So you guys are not going to want to miss that. We are going to be live. We have a press pass. So if you're not subscribed yet, feel free to subscribe, and we will be streaming from the conference. Hey, EBITDA here. What's up, EBITDA? Says, I really hope the market doesn't have another bad day tomorrow. I missed the constant bull run. Yeah, well, judging upon futures, are probably going to crack the lows. I think futures are down like 2%, but look, we'll just sit back and wait for a follow-through day. My cash exposure is pretty high in my managed accounts, but then again, in my retirement accounts, I'm only 26 years old. So anytime the market drops on a massive day, I just add money to my retirement accounts and dollar cost average into the S&P, because my bet is over the long term, I think companies within the S&P 500 will continue to grow their earnings. That's my bet. I think in 80 years from now, or 60 years from now when I retire, I think the companies in the S&P 500 will be earning more money than they are now. And look, if we come down a little bit more in the S&P, the forward PE of the S&P is going to be about maybe 18, which is actually, I think, is probably a bargain, especially judging based upon what's going on in the world. I think that's actually pretty decent. I mean, it's still a little bit frothy, but 19 PE on the S&P, I think that's a pretty decent area. Johnny says, are you planning on retiring at 86? I'm not planning on retiring at all. I think I'll always want to work. My personality is if I'm not working, I get extremely depressed. Because I think humans were made to work and produce and do things. War Walker, good to see you. Go Hard Brothers says, what do you think about investing in the yuan? I don't really have any opinions on that. I wouldn't invest into a currency. Good to see you, Cosmo Scary. Hey, Black Label is here. This is beautiful. Yeah, this is one of my favorite blocks to walk up. So this is 5th Avenue. You have a great view of the Empire State Building. We're also going to be passing the New School. And the New School is a really famous design school here in New York City. Very creative and smart people go here. JA says, I think people need purpose, but you don't need formal work for that purpose. Creating things gives a similar meaning. I agree. Yeah, when I say work, I think I mean just doing things that I like. But it's a good point. Phone says, what about physical silver? Got any? Yes, I actually do, but nothing to really make a dent in anything. I believe about 2 months ago is when I first started buying a teeny bit of physical silver. But that I think I'll just start to accumulate over my lifetime. But the exposure I have now is nothing. Like if silver went up 1,000,000%, it wouldn't even move the equity curve. Clarence Jackson says it's good to work. Good for your mental and physical health. I agree. Shelby, what's up? Good to see ya. Eric 20 says, isn't Euro a bargain right now? Yeah, so we actually did an entire stream about emerging markets. And if you look at the relative valuation to US companies, there's a lot of quote unquote bargains out there, right? But there's an old saying on Wall Street that some things are bargains for a reason. And, you know, why is it that US tech companies and US companies in general tend to trade at extreme premiums to companies in emerging markets? And I'm not so sure what the answer is. We were sort of trying to talk about it and debate about it in the chat. What I think is it's due to geopolitical risk. Because, for example, the Russian stock market was actually performing quite well, like really well. But then again, you run the risk of having a crazy dictator go and invade another country and almost start World War III. And now equity prices are down 50% overnight. The Russian ruble is now worth nothing. So I think that's why investing in emerging markets is a little bit more risky. And they tend to trade at significant discounts to US equities. But then again, if you look at the Indian stock market, that's been, I think, the #1 performing stock market over the past 2 years. Brazil, investments in Brazil is becoming quite fashionable. So the Brazilian stock market, I'm not sure. So I think if you type !markets, MARKETS, so !markets in the chat, there's a really, really well-written Barron's article about this exact topic, what we're talking about right now. Where are the deals in emerging markets? Are these quote-unquote deals in emerging markets value traps? But that is a really good article. Let me see if I could drop it in the chat. But I think this was the stream topic from about 4 days ago. Yeah, so here it is. If you look at the Nightbot says, read here, Barron's article, emerging markets. Phone says paywall, damn. Well, if you want to know a summary of the article, if you want to read my newsletter, Behind the Street newsletter. Phone says, Tom, did you buy a wheat ETF? I did not. Elliott Wave Review is here. Good to see you, Elliott Wave Review. Says, hey man, do you agree with Kevin O'Leary when he says never to buy stocks that don't pay a dividend? I don't agree with him, but then again, he's a multi-billionaire and I'm not. Steven says, I hear police. I think just saying, oh, you should never buy a stock that doesn't pay a dividend, I think that's gonna leave you out of a lot of really good growth names, especially if you're a young investor trying to build up your war chest. Because some of the biggest, like Alphabet, doesn't pay a dividend. Microsoft pays a dividend now, but they not up until relatively recently. But sometimes you can get these dividend traps where these companies have extremely high yield, but these companies are about to go out of business. But I think generally I tend to agree with him, right? Because he's a multi-billionaire. So, you know, even if he just wants to keep his money safe. You know, a lot of billionaires out there and high net worth individuals. So if you work at the investment bank and wealth management, you know, the goal is to keep your clients rich, right? It's not necessarily to generate crazy amount of alpha for these people. It's just you want to keep them rich. You don't want them to go broke. But I think his advice is sound. But there are some really good growth names out there that people have made a lot of money in, right? Like a Tesla, for example. Tesla doesn't pay a dividend. They reinvest all of their profits back into the business. A lot of the cybersecurity companies don't pay a dividend. Helen is here. Hey, Helen. Says hi, Tom. Good night. Good to see you. NMAT says, are credit cards with crypto rewards a good thing to have? So I think that Gemini is trying to do that. But then again, I don't really use credit cards that much. So I don't think it would apply to me, but yeah, I mean, if you're just gonna buy random purchases anyway, I think it's an interesting idea. Do they have that out right now? Solomon Taylor says, do you think NFTs are for supporting artists or for scams? War Walker says, pick up some allergy nose spray, that helps. Thank you, War Walker. I appreciate the $10 donation. Thank you, War Walker. Very, very kind of you. Thank you, War Walker, for the $10 donation. But going back to your question about NFTs, last night, I think actually, 2 nights ago, the topic for the stream was NFTs. And it was a Barron's article. I know I'm plugging Barron's a lot. I should get like a kickback. But their journalists are very good. And the reason why I like reading Barron's is because they interview some of the top analysts on Wall Street at some of the top investment banks. So these people know what they're talking about. They're very poised. So you tend to learn a lot. And the Barron's article, I think if you type !NFT in the chat, but I don't think I programmed it. But if you want to see the article, if you sign up for our Discord, which is completely free, I think I posted it on the Discord. I think what we're seeing right now in the NFT space is a big speculative mania. I think there's a lot of fraudulent activity. I think there's a lot of money laundering. And I think a lot of that stuff is going to go to zero. But I do see value with being able to verify ownership of digital assets on the blockchain. And I think that it will, so here's a good use case, right? Let's say if you're starting a startup or you're a content creator and you want to make a movie or something like that. Well, you can raise money for that movie, not through investors and dilute yourself. You can raise that money through your audience, through NFTs, and use those proceeds to, you know, make your movie or produce more music, build a product or a service. And you really, it sort of cuts the VCs out of it, right? But that's just one specific use case. You know, another use case is, let's say if you want to start a software company and you have a big audience of people in the healthcare industry and you want to develop a new remote patient monitoring platform. Well, if you issue NFTs to raise the money, you know, now you don't have to go into VC or private equity to get it. So I think in those areas, they could potentially have some value there. There's actually one content creator here in New York City. He used to work, I believe, at Jump Trading or Citadel, I forget, one of the two. But he's from Canada. His name is Joma Tech. He moved to New York City because his real passion is he wants to be a director. He wants to make movies. So he left the finance world and he took his audience with him and said, look, I want to create really good content, so I'm going to issue NFTs and use those proceeds to make the content that you guys want. So I think that's one good use case. And he actually makes some really good content. So if you want to check him out, Joma Tech. He has a lot of good content about getting a job in software engineering, in tech, and in finance. Hey, Bob Shee says, what is your setup? Your picture and audio quality is great. So we are streaming on an iPhone 11, and we do not have the microphone. We are using the internal microphone here. WW says, why he can't just fundraise the normal way then? Just wondering. Yeah, so that's a good question. You can do many different things with the NFTs. So for example, when you issue them, you could set it to where anytime it's resold on the secondary market, you get a royalty for those proceeds. You could sort of build your community where it's like they're collectibles, things like that. So it makes it a little bit, and look, this is just one use case, right? Out of millions. I'm just giving you one individual use case. But if you're an artist, like you literally make art, you make drawings, well, maybe you can issue some digital art to your fans to help, raise some money so you have more time to make more art. But again, I forget who asked the question, but to your point, I think as of right now, there's a lot of nefarious activity going on, especially with creators and people running these like Ponzi style schemes. But I think a lot of that is going to get washed out. Phone says NFTs are a nice grassroots way to build an audience. I think it is, but I also think that power can be abused. And we are seeing a lot of unethical activity. But I think that a lot of that stuff will be washed out. Helen says, Tom, are you thinking about visiting Brazil? So I have thought about it. That is definitely up there on the list. Junior is here. Good to see you, Junior. Welcome. Sabrina Fair is here. Welcome, Sabrina. Ghost is here. Welcome, Ghost. Sora says, is this live right now? Anybody know? Yes. This is live. And thank you for joining. Yogi says, Tom needs to visit Las Vegas and stream from there. I was actually just in Las Vegas a couple months ago for a holiday party. But I was only there for 24 hours and I came back. Sarah says, thank you and happy to be joining. I'm happy you're here. Hope you had a good weekend. Pixelogic says, hey Tom. Diamond Dave says, Hawaii in the house. Very cool, love Hawaii. Pineapple Water says, hey Tom, I would rather buy virtual property next to Snoop Dogg in the metaverse than an NFT. Yeah, so didn't Snoop Dogg buy a ton of property in the metaverse? But I guess they sort of go hand in hand, right? Virtual real estate. It's crazy how things are evolving. And look, a lot of people says it's just a speculative mania outright. But if you read that Barron's article, the reason why I like it is I always like to read articles where they go out of their way to get people that have two different opinions on it, not just ramming one opinion down your throat. And I think Barron's does a good job of doing that. They have a lot of good journalists there. So half of them say it's a big fraud, it's a scam, but the other half, they make some pretty compelling arguments as to why it won't be. Mike sees like, Tom, I wonder if you can get a contact high from living next to Snoop Dogg in the metaverse. Probably will. Khan says, Tom, a sucker is born every minute. Ghost says, I just think America has a great political standing to be diverse. Don't smoke around people. Agreed. Emilio J equals evolving equals devolving. Leida is here. Bruna is here. Says hello. Ramsey says, hey Tom, how are you guys? Best greetings from Egypt. Hey Ramsey, thank you for joining. Very cool. We do actually have quite a bit of Egyptian viewers. So this is one of my favorite spots. We come here all the time. but you could see an amazing crystal clear view of the Empire State Building. Bruce Wayne is here, says Tom, it's a scam, but then I like watching greedy dumbs get scammed. Yeah, I mean, Bruce Wayne, look, I mean, you make an argument that is not rare. I mean, I think a lot of people would agree with you. So it's going to sound hypocritical. I do agree with you, but then I don't agree with you at the same time. I think, so after I really read this book by Ray Dalio called Principles, it really outlines market cycles of things. So whenever there's a new and emerging technology, you'll have opportunists where they try to say, oh, this is going to be the next best thing, but they're really just using that sort of technology for nefarious activity. Those people will all get washed out. Spending like $10 million for a JPEG of an ape, like the Bored Ape collection. I think that stuff is a little bit frothy, but I think you're going to see actual businesses being built or raise capital with this sort of process through different smart contracts and things like that. That I think is real, right? That part of it I think is real. But a lot of the stuff, to your point, like people promoting random NFT projects, I think all that stuff is a scam. That I do think so. Hey, Lindsay says hi, Tom and everybody. Late to the Lynn, you're right on time. You were right on time. Wow, check out that, man. That is a beautiful view of the Empire. You could actually see the very, very top of the Chrysler building right here. Hey, John says, good night, everybody. Have a great stream. The Swan says, go Empire State Building, #1. Hey, Ryan Royal. This is a wonderful shot of the Empire. Diamond Dave says, Tom, how much of your audience knows about cryptocurrencies? Get with the future is going to overtake you. I'm not sure. I think it's about 50-50. Like, so I'm bullish on cryptocurrencies as a whole, but with anything, there's a lot of junk. Like a lot of the alternative coins, I think, are pretty scammy. A lot of the market is not regulated. And in order for big institutions to get involved in any of this, you're going to need a regulated gateway for them to do it. So there's actually a company we were talking about in the Discord, which is Galaxy Digital Investments. And that company, he was a former managing director at Goldman Sachs, in which case he left and went to be a portfolio manager at Fortress Investments in New York. Minted himself a billionaire, and now he is trying to build the onboarding rails so institutional investors can get access to Bitcoin and Ethereum and things like that. But if you're dealing with other people's money, OPM, you need to do things the proper way where it's ethical. You're buying Bitcoin on regulated exchanges. There's a lot of unregulated exchanges out there. So I think it'll be a work in progress. Hey, Arthur Lopez is here. What's up, Arthur? What's up? This is hello, Tom. Good to see you. Hey, Bon Ham says, there's the Empire. So this is also one of my favorite buildings too. I'm not sure what it's called. Hey, Catherine McKay says, hello from Nova Scotia. Are you a new streamer? It is my first time here. Catherine, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. So we are relatively new. I think we've almost been streaming about a year, as crazy as that sounds. I think May, like mid-May is when we started streaming. So relatively new. But we usually go live about 5 days a week. So during the weekdays, we talk about finance or really anything. It's usually just an open platform. But thank you for being here. Welcome to everybody from Nova Scotia. And if you guys are enjoying the stream, feel free to leave a like on the video. Hey, J.A. says, Tom, I gotta head off. Good night, everybody. J.A., have a great week ahead. Make it a good week. Happy Monday to you, my friend. Bruce Wayne says the building looks so Spider-Manistic. It does. So this right in front of us is the Flatiron building. Unfortunately, it does have all the scaffolding on it, which is a little bit unfortunate, but hey, Sora is here. Says, I am a new subscriber, just came across your channel tonight. Thank you so much, Sora. Hope you had a great weekend. So we're gonna attempt to head uptown, but once we usually hit 34th Street, we usually tend to run into internet issues. Wow, we've already been streaming for 2 hours. I guess time flies when you're having fun. Crystal says, I'm late. Did I miss the Brooklyn Bridge? So we didn't get a chance to go to the Brooklyn Bridge tonight. I got to get an earlier train home because obviously tomorrow is a work day. I got to be up early. But tomorrow's going to be a busy week. But on the stream, we just gave a quick recap of the main events that are going to be going on in the financial markets this week. Obviously on Thursday, I think is going to be the biggest day because we're getting the CPI numbers. And a lot of the analysts on Wall Street, or economists on Wall Street, I should say, are expecting a 7.9% CPI print, which is crazy. Also on Friday, we are getting the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index, which I think is pretty important because the vast majority of economic activity in the United States is, well, consumer spending. So we are going to get that piece of economic news on Friday. But tomorrow we are kicking off the week with the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve is going to report on credit data for January. And supposedly, they're saying that the total consumer credit debt is expected to balloon to $4.44 trillion, up $20 billion. And that's a new all-time record high. So consumer credit is expected to breach $4.44 trillion. That is up 5.9% since last year. And if you remember, briefly during the pandemic in 2020, we actually had consumer debt decline. And I think that's because, people were getting their stimulus checks and people were really scared. They didn't know what the future was going to hold. So I think consumers took on the time to really pay down their debt and get their financial house in order. But now that we've sort of lived with COVID for a while, consumers are actually taking on a record amount of debt. War Walker says, Jay, what's going on, Jay? Good to see you. Roy S says, Tom, you still need to consider suggestion from some of colleagues here, which is to have a special stream to celebrate 1 year on the channel in April. Yeah, we may do something interesting. I can't believe it's already been a year. I really appreciate everybody who's been joining the streams. I think we have great conversations and I learn a lot from everybody here. So thank you, everybody, for joining. And I hope you enjoy the sights and sounds in New York, Miami. Yogi says, consumer debt because of bills or just buying stuff. Well, I guess we'll find out. In my opinion, I think it's a lot of people are locking in mortgage debt at low interest rates. And I would also probably say auto loans as well. So I would say like auto and mortgage debt. But then again, I mean, look, that's what you get when you have artificially low interest rates. It encourages people to take on risk. I definitely contributed to that number. I financed about 75% of my investment property purchase. Hey, Andy is here, says congrats, Tom, on 1 year. Yeah, we're coming up. I believe we did our first live stream in May. I think. I gotta check it out. But Andy is joining us from South Korea. Andy, I believe Wednesday is a major holiday for you guys in Korea. It is election day. Is that correct? Am I getting that right? Andy from South Korea, I believe it is election day on Wednesday, so hopefully you have off. Hey, George says hello from Chile. Andy says, yes, Tom, very cool. Mark Davis says, hey, Tom, you started your stream 1 year ago. Congratulations. Yeah, I think it'll be 1 year in May. So good to see you. Mark Davis is joining us from Toronto, Canada. Good to see you, Mark. Hey, Alton is here. Says, hey, Tom, how's it going? It's going really good. I'm really happy tonight because it's about 66 degrees out for the first time in a really, really long time. So super excited about that. NMAT says, tuned into your channel first time because I thought this was just a walk through New York City, but very informative. Thank you so much, NMAT. Yeah, so we tried to do like a multifaceted approach. I really started it because sometimes I would be in my New York City apartment working till like 8 o'clock. I just needed something to do, and I tend to ramble on about economics all the time. So I'm like, might as well just stream and talk about it with everybody else. Yogi says, Tom, can't own property that hasn't been paid off. It's only in your name, really. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, Mike sees it's hard to believe it's March already. Crazy. Lewis says, Tom, is it possible to stream from the top of the Empire? It is, but I think we'll probably have to do that when the weather gets a little bit nicer. Hey, Catherine. What's up, Catherine? Says, even though I'm in Canada, this seems like an informative place to visit. We'll be back. Hey, thank you so much, Catherine. We have a lot of Canadians on the stream. We got Mark Davis. We have Sam. A lot of people. Cove Creek 3 says, we never truly own our property. Don't pay taxes and see what happens. That's true. That's actually probably the comment of the night. Cove Creek 3, you won the comment of the night. You know what's crazy? Listen to something that's crazy. So the property taxes in Southern Florida are actually pretty high. It's just that we don't have any state income tax in Florida, but the property taxes are quite high. But, so I was looking for an investment property either on Long Island, New York, or in Southern Florida. If I were to buy a house on Long Island, where I'm from, my property tax bill would be no less than about $12,000 to $15,000 a year. I just can't afford that. I can't do that. I don't know how anybody could afford that. For the same type of house on more land, more space in Miami, my property tax bill is still high at about $4,400, but still, you can't even compare it to Long Island prices. Hey, Diamond Dave, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I appreciate it, Diamond Dave. Thank you for the support. Appreciate it. I just can't get my head around, even if you own the house, I still have to pay the government almost $5,000 a year just to live in my house. That's crazy. But whatever. There's only two things that are guaranteed in this life, and that is death and taxes. Trevor says, watching while in lavender Epsom salt bath. Awesome, Trevor. Pixelogic says, Tom, how much are cities being hurt by the increase in remote work? Well, I don't know. I think cities are actually benefiting in some way because, now you could work wherever you want. So let's say if you get tired of living in LA and you want to live in New York, well, you could do that because you could work remotely. Let's say if you lived all your life in San Francisco, but you're like, you know what, I want to give the East Coast a try. Maybe I'll move to Miami. You know, you're able to do that. So I think there's pros and cons of it, but I definitely do see your point. Jay says the tax are paying for our freedom. This is Jay. Lewis says, walks on Wall Street, Tom. I was watching a CNBC report today. Taxes are twice in New York City than they are in Miami, but salaries are half in Miami. So it is not a zero-sum game. Yeah, so I think it's a teeny bit misleading because yes, the salaries are much lower in, geez, that bus is crazy, man. The salaries are much lower in Miami, agreed, and mainly throughout all of Florida. But if you're a small business owner, or you're working remote in tech or something like that, you're still gonna make quite a lot, depending on what your business is. So I think as the years go on, I think we're gonna see that data change a little bit. But then again, a lot of people like being in New York for the networking opportunities, right? So in New York, if you live in the city, not only do you have to pay New York state tax, but you have to pay New York City tax. But I think if you're very early in your career, if you're a 20-year-old kid coming out of college, I think it's worth it to pay those taxes because, you know, all the smart people in the world, well, not all of them, but a lot of them are here. And I think it's a good networking opportunity. It's a very diverse city. You're gonna meet a lot of people from all over the world. And I think it's very important to grow your network. Hey Arthur, good to see you. Yogi says, so many millionaires in Los Angeles because they can overpay $200,000 on the listing price. Yeah, I think that's what's going on in a lot of cities too. And also institutional investors as well are buying a lot of, properties over asking price. Hey Blue Skies, is Tom, are you enjoying Korean food? I am. Love Korean food. Kevin says Netflix canceled services in Russia. Kevin, didn't also MasterCard? Pretty much everybody's canceling service in Russia. You know, I was seeing, I think somebody sent me, somebody sent me a really crazy photo on Twitter of the subways in Russia. And none of the mobile payments were working, so the lines were crazy. Yogi says the smartest people hire accountants, so they pay no taxes. That's true. Cynthia Beal, good to see everybody. Jace says American Express as well. Well, NVIDIA also, not NVIDIA, AMD and Intel last week said they will be no longer selling chips to Russia. Hey, Joey Garcia is here, says, what's up? What's up, Joey? Welcome. Hope you're well. I said it was going to be a short stream tonight. 2 hours later. So I think we'll head back to the Penn Station, Moynihan Train Hall. But if you guys enjoyed the stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video. We will take a quick walk through Koreatown. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And if you want to sign up for our free financial newsletter, it is the first link in the description, which will be sent out tomorrow, Monday. Probably at about 10 o'clock. But then again, every time I say 10 o'clock, it usually hits the inboxes at around midnight. Wow, Chris Pacific Desert Raid says, Tom, this may be irrelevant, but PlayStation removed a lot of their games from Russian storefronts. I think that is relevant. I think that's really relevant. Good to see you, Pacific Desert Raid. Hey, Kurt Flirt 2 is here. What's up? Yeah, Jay, you make a good point. Didn't Putin say that any sort of sanctions will be an act of war? I believe Putin said if you remove us from the SWIFT system, it will be considered an act of war. But then again, it's like the war is already raging, right? The war is already raging. So why should we? I don't know. It's crazy. Hey, Kevin Sunderland, thank you so much for supporting the channel with $10 donation. Says Salesforce and PagerDuty are on my radar this week. Yeah, so Kevin, Salesforce came off of a decent quarter. The only concern I had about Salesforce is the vast majority of their revenue growth came from their acquisition of Slack. So it seems like a lot of their organic growth may be headed downhill, and now their growth will probably come out of M&A activity, which isn't bad. I think Salesforce is still a solid enterprise software company, but we will be watching that. Jeez. But Kevin Sunderland, thank you for watching, my friend Kevin. I appreciate you very much. Here, I'll give you guys another look at the Empire. Yeah, Mike sees like that didn't sound good. Usually I never get startled by noises, but for some reason that one startled me because it was like right in my ear. I think somebody ran over like a bottle, something like that. So this is 32nd Street, Korea Way and Broadway. We are going to be walking directly down 32nd Street to head back to Pennsylvania Station. This is Koreatown, one of my favorite spots. Hey, Manthe18 says, hey Tom, it's 9 degrees warmer in New York City right now than it is here in San Diego. Isn't that crazy? It was beautiful today. 66 degrees. Sora says, the Empire State Building blue and yellow, I can't tell. I think it's white tonight. Let's see. I think it was blue and yellow for Ukraine, but I believe it is no longer. I think it is white. Hey, Lewis says, Tom likes work on YouTube. I was watching a live stream in Stockholm, Sweden, and YouTube suggested me your live stream. Ah, very cool, man. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you're here. I am glad we found you. Andy from South Korea. So Andy, who are the presidential candidates in Korea? I know it's election day in Korea on Wednesday, but I'm not too read up on the Korean candidates. Yo, Christian Wilson says, what's up, skate bro? Wall Street skate bro, what's up? I'm doing good, man. Hope you had a good weekend. We covered a lot on the stream. We essentially just gave an overview on every day tomorrow, what's going to be happening. But we do a company we talk about often to watch. We talk about amongst each other. CrowdStrike is a cybersecurity company, a fast-growing cybersecurity company. They are going to be reporting earnings on Wednesday. And also Disney is going to hold their annual shareholders meeting on Wednesday too. So we got a lot to talk about. It's going to be crazy. Thursday, obviously, we're getting those CPI numbers. Friday, the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index. Wow, check out Bank of America Tower in the distance. Hey, Jason Francis says, good night, Tom. Have a safe night. Jason, have a great week. Make it a good Monday. I wish you well this week. Mike C says, Tom, when was the last time you were on your skateboard? Man, it's been months. I think it's been like 3 months. Blake C says, New York City looks like such a beautiful place. Going to try to visit ASAP. Hello from the UK. You gotta come. Please come. It is a beautiful place. It's gonna get better. So here's the last view I will give you guys of the Empire. Also, if you guys want to connect on our Discord, we do have a Walks in Wall Street Discord server in the link in the description. We use it to connect and network and really talk about anything. If you want to know some good food places to go to while in New York City, or if you want to network for getting job opportunities, either in tech, investment banking, healthcare, you name it. We have somebody in the community that holds a position at some of the biggest companies in the world. So feel free to network in the Discord. Sources, in the summer is when all the rats come out. That's the only downside in New York City in the summer. You used to be surprised. I've been seeing a lot of rats all year round. I think that's just what comes with the territory in New York, to be honest. James Brumley, this is the pizza rat. Hilarious. Can we get a quick time check in the chat? I just want to make sure I know what time it is. Yeah, Marty Lewis said like rats are everywhere all year. There's not really too much we could do about it. So, aside from financial topics, did anybody see I was reading something in the New York Daily News. Supposedly they're going to try to recreate what they have in other countries, like in Korea, Japan, and put those protective barriers at a lot of the subway stations. But supposedly about 30% of the stations, it's not even able to do that because they're too small. Did anybody else see that? I think that's a good idea. And I think that's going to prevent a lot of people from getting pushed onto the tracks and things like that. I don't understand why it wasn't like that always. I mean, it seems dangerous. Everybody just stands on the platform. But there should be some sort of barrier that goes all the way across. So when the trains are going, people can't jump in front of the train. People can't get pushed. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer. Yeah, Jay says you read that. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of yeses. I think that's worth the money. Even if it costs billions of dollars, we should do it. Because if you want the city to rebound, if you want tourists to come back, they need to feel safe in the city. So even if it costs a ton of money, I say do it. Hey, Jimmy Anderson says, cheers, everybody. Hope all's good. What's up, Jimmy? Good to see you. Welcome. Check out these cranes here. Hey, Lemonade is here. What's up? I think One Penn Plaza is all lit up for Ukraine as well. Somebody says that the police officers monitoring stations. There's supposedly more police presence at the stations. Yes. A lot more than usual. But then again, the police can't be everywhere at all times. Yeah. Somebody says don't trust the cranes on windy days. So we'll walk around the block to the Moynihan train station where we will end the stream. This is the New Jersey Transit entrance. Sugo says hello, Tom, and good night. Good night to you too, my friend. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Webley Coffee Spill says, how is the signal inside Penn Station? It's actually not too good. It's not good. Unfortunately, I think we've been having a lot of issues on the stream anywhere above 34th Street. Hey, Pixelogic, good to see you. If you look straight ahead, you'll be able to see some of the buildings at the Hudson Yards. But this is where all the players go in Madison Square Garden. Lemonade, good to see you. Manthony 18 says, very underrated channel. Thank you. Hey, Techno Pink is here. Techno Pink is our consultant at EY from the Dominican Republic. Hola, Techno Pink, ¿cómo estás? So this is the brand new Moynihan train station, but the front of it is actually the post office, and it's still operational after all these years. War Walker says, funny, I just walked this area a couple weeks ago. Very nice. War Walker, I should be back pretty soon. Well, hopefully we should be back. Yogi says you gotta carry hotspots with you. That is true. All right, we made it. I wonder how many miles we did tonight. I'll have to go back and look. I think we probably clocked over 5. So this is the Hulu Theater. Ooh, Alan Wilson, we forgot. We forgot about our pal Billy Joel. We'll see him tomorrow.
East side. East side.
Andy says, looking forward to your Miami streams. Thank you, Andy. So you can actually see the New York Times building in the background. And I believe that's where Datadog has an office. We talk about that company all the time on the stream, Datadog. But everybody, I think we'll end it here. I gotta go get some water. I gotta hydrate. I gotta do what I gotta do. And then I have to prepare for work next week. It's gonna be a crazy week at work. We may not be streaming as much next week. Maybe only 2 or 3 days, but I'll try to do my best, I promise. But thank you for joining. So photos from around New York. Andy from South Korea, buy the book. Mike C. Grant, appreciate it. Grant, appreciate it. Lewis and everybody, thank you to all of our new viewers. Pacific Desert Raid, Lemonade, Chris, Mohammed, Carol, Yogi, Charlie Richardson, Laytha, appreciate it. War Walker, Sorrow, this is a good stream, thank you. Cove Creek, Judy D, DW, 48, photos from around New York, Michelle Henry, the Mighty Bull, War Walker, thank you. Everybody, if you enjoyed the stream, feel free to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you are new. If you want to connect with us on Twitter, it is at Walks Wall Street. And to the Mighty Bull, have a good night wherever you are, because there's always a bull market somewhere, and you just need to know where to look. I'll see everybody right back here in the greatest city in the world tomorrow.